So, Mr. Gorgas, can you go ahead and for those of us on the channel today that are not familiar with Artelo Biosciences, just give us the quick, rundown on the company, essentially what the company is, what is your mission?
All right, so there's about 5 companies on the NASDAQ that are focused in on the endocannabinoid system as a target for drug development. We're one of those companies on the NASDAQ. We have what I believe the broadest portfolio of drugs targeting the endocannabinoid.
Got it. Yeah. And then so what specifically, could we get into a few of the different, symptoms or diseases that the CBD or the proprietary CBD products from Artelo can help target?
Well, our lead clinical asset is in cancer anorexia. Many people don't know, but about half the people that die with a cancer diagnosis die of the anorexia. And if currently there's nothing that's been FDA approved to treat cancer anorexia, and so it's a huge unmet need. We have a very unique profile in a drug that can be thought of as similar to THC and that it targets the main receptors of the endocannabinoid system, but it's different from THC in that it's been optimized. It's been optimized in drug development to be a full agonist of the receptors, not just a partial agonist like THC. And it's been optimized to avoid the brain. So you don't suffer from the high or the euphoria or the fuzzy feeling or the loss of control that's not desired by cancer patients who just want to restore their appetite. We have this in a clinical study right now. And I think what's really exciting about Artelo is that we're expecting to announce the first tranche of clinical data before year end. And because there's no drug approved and hasn't been in the 35 years I've been in biopharmaceutical drug development, a drug approved to treat cancer anorexia, we really feel that we're at the cutting edge and the forefront of something that may be a real breakthrough treatment for patients with cancer anorexia.
Yeah, Greg, I think that's really interesting. I mean, myself included, you can throw me in that mix of people that aren't aware or wasn't aware before you told me that most people or a large portion of people that die from cancer die from the anorexia associated with that. I do have the pipeline here for Artelo on the screen. I'm going to go full screen on it for a second just to show the audience the potential cure for cancer anorexia is the furthest along in the pipeline out of the different drugs that y'all are producing. So what is it? Is the CBD essentially just increasing the appetite of someone that would be taking it?
Well, we know from evidence in a 50-patient study done with the drug in healthy volunteers that it really packed on the pounds or increased weight in people. And these were healthy volunteers that only took the drug for 12 days. We're treating for 12 weeks in cancer patients. And so we've yet to announce the results of that. But given the previous experience with the drug in healthy volunteers in a phase 1 study, it's really remarkable. And the p-value separating the placebo from the actively treated group was 0.0001. And so you have to think back to your high school or college statistics. The significance of a 0.0001 means it really didn't leave it to chance that people with our drug gained weight and those that received placebo did not. And so I think this bodes well for the potential success from our phase 1 study in cancer patients.
Yeah, I mean, Greg, you just gave me flashbacks just by mentioning p-value to my high school statistics class. And yeah, I think maybe a lot of us out there will need a quick refresher course on the things we learned in that class because it's been a while for me. But Greg, so let's zoom out from Artelo and look at the overall CBD market in biosciences. What kind of developments are you like very excited about to see, in the near future?
Well, you don't see companies, and we do have a CBD-based drug called Artelo 1211. We were the first and only to receive composition of matter patent protection on our version of CBD, and that's because it's a unique co-crystal. And a co-crystal really has sort of glue that holds together the same shape CBD molecules. And what's exciting about that is the uniformity, the consistency, the improved drug-like properties of the drug, and the patent protection. And that allows us to go after treatment for conditions or diseases for which other companies are not pursuing because they don't have the same level of patent protection. And so we're embarking on diseases or conditions like PTSD or anxiety, or even cancer, where we've shown that the sum of the parts of our co-crystal are superior to CBD alone or tetramethylperazine, which is the glue or coformer or binding agent that holds the co-crystal together. So it's pretty exciting that we can be at the forefront of science. And if you ask me where I think the industry is going, is the industry is going to bring in new science, new technology to take a very old mechanism that has been well known and well studied with a lot of anecdotal evidence over many, many years, and that's CBD having its medicinal drug-like properties. And there's companies like Artelo that are using modern pharmaceutical sciences to improve upon that and hopefully then bring this out to patients that desperately need it.
Got it. Yeah. I mean, I think this is one of those, obviously biotech as a whole kind of evolves and changes so quickly, like compared to other, industries. But I think CBD specifically is something that we'll see, just rapid changes on in the next 10, 20 years. So I'm really interested to see kind of all the things that are possible with that. Any other, I guess, developments in the last few months or so that you'd like to talk about with the audience?
Well, we did put out some evidence that the sum of the parts for the co-crystal of CBD worked better than CBD alone or tetramethylperazine alone in models of, and this is laboratory studies of cancer cell lines. And so this is very exciting. It was unexpected of the company to have this, but if in fact the co-crystal technology that we have created a better cancer agent or a better anti-cancer agent than CBD alone, it's our obligation to research that and move that forward. And so the data is emerging. We've got some ongoing studies right now, and as that data becomes available, we'll also make that known. So if you think about the periscope of what's in the near term for Artelo, we have plenty of cash to deliver on major milestones. That includes the cancer anorexia recovery trial that I just mentioned. That includes preclinical data on the co-crystal of CBD. And then we have a protein inhibitor to a pathway that feeds cancer in the body. I'm trying to make it as simple as I can. And that inhibition of that pathway starves cancer of its nutrients or its ability to migrate. And we have some really exciting research that we are embarking on right now and hope to reveal on the fatty acid binding protein 5 inhibitor. That's our Artelo 2612 program. So exciting times ahead for Artelo, certainly.
Yeah, and Greg, I'm excited. I'm going to keep my eye out and see kind of the developments. I hope you keep us in the loop here at Benzinga. We'd be happy to help you break some of that news. Maybe you come on the show and when we have the developments and be able to get those developments straight from the horse's mouth. But Greg, do you have any idea off the top of your head, what is the the total market opportunity for, I guess, not necessarily curing the anorexia associated with cancer, but I guess alleviating the, some of the pain or symptoms involved? What does that market opportunity look like?
It's very large, and in fact, there's no reason our drug necessarily should be restricted to just cancer anorexia. There's anorexia associated with taking ADHD drugs. There's anorexia associated with anorexia nervosa. There's anorexia associated with chronic kidney disease, end-stage renal disease, dialysis patients. So the market for anorexia is quite large, but specifically for cancer anorexia, today, that's about $1 billion in the US. And that might not seem like much, but that's because the leading drug that's used can only be used short term. It's about $35 a month, and that's Decadron, or a short course of steroids, which is immunosuppressive. If you charged more than $35 a month, maybe $350 a month, that could conceivably be a $10 billion market opportunity. If a pharmaceutical company charged $3,000 a month, it'd be a $100 billion market opportunity. I'm not here to talk about money per se, although investors need to see a return on their investment. We're trying to do something right by cancer patients, cancer patients like my mom or my mother-in-law, all of those that died of cancer and cancer anorexia deserve a better chance. And if we can bring something really remarkable to that marketplace, then I believe that we will see the rewards for doing that. Investors that partner alongside us will see that as well.
Yeah, beautiful. And pardon my ignorance, but is there, are there specific cancers that this anorexia is more associated with, or is it basically like any cancer that someone's going through chemo or whatever, they're going to be at risk for this anorexia?
There's at least 10 to 12 different reasons why a person suffers from cancer anorexia. This includes inflammation. It could be the site of the cancer in the esophagus or the stomach or the gastrointestinal tract. It could be from the chemotherapy, the nausea and vomiting, or the anticipatory nausea and vomiting. Can partially due to the depression of one that has a cancer diagnosis. There are a host of reasons, but just like a drug that treats sleep, or insomnia, it doesn't really matter that if you're jet lagged or if you were working late last night or stayed up playing video games. There's a lot of reasons people have a suffering of sleep. But one medication like an Ambien can work. And just in the same way, cancer anorexia might come in from different areas. But if we can give a powerful drug that stimulates appetite, we believe mechanistically we can really do something across the board for all the different types of anorexia that people unfortunately experience.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy there with the sleep. That despite the different things that can lead to the cancer anorexia, this could be one potential cure for all of those, potential factors. So that's really interesting there. Let me go back, pull up the pipeline again. Someone was asking about FDA. I believe you said that, nothing's been FDA approved yet, correct?
So for the indication of cancer anorexia, to treat cancer anorexia, there is nothing that has been FDA approved with that labeled indication. There are many drugs that are used off-label, but ASCO, which is the American Society of Clinical Oncology, put guidelines out to all the medical oncologists in the United States, really worldwide, and they said at this time they cannot recommend anything as the standard of care pharmacologically to treat these. So there's a real unmet need. We will have to go through the FDA process, and that's what we're embarking on right now. We're in a phase 1/2 study, and then the next step will be the final step, the phase 3 after that we anticipate starting at the end of next year.
Got it. And then Greg, since this is a trading channel, stock trading show, looking at the Artelo stock chart, I see that there was like a big spike back in February. Do you have any, specific causes for why the stock kind of went crazy in February and since has kind of been trading down since then?
Well, there were a lot of shorts. In fact, I think there's some shorts out there today. So we were shorted, and I think that the retail investors ganged up against some of the institutional investors and really pushed the stock. And I think that compounded some problems. That's my own gestalt. We were the second highest trading stock behind Pfizer in the middle of February earlier this year. So volume was really quite significant, almost 250 million shares traded that one particular day. So volume was high. There were a lot of internet reports as a stock to watch. We've drifted off of that as can be seen, but I think with our significant number of retail investors, with our milestones coming up, a potential rebound is in the making.
Yeah, I mean, I think right here looks like it could be a decent entry point. Were there any significant, like insider selling when the stock went crazy in February?
There was no insiders selling to my knowledge whatsoever, so I have no information about that because I'm not aware of any.
Wow, that's impressive. I'm going to go ahead and share this the chart real quick so people can go ahead and see what I'm looking at here. But yeah, Greg, again, going back to the cancer. So we talked about the market opportunity, but what can we look forward to, I guess, more in the meantime? Like any sort of revenue coming in, or will it not be until we see some of these products get like approved by the FDA or anything like that?
Well, we're a value story, and so we're here to create value. We're not a revenue story today. We're a value creating story. And if we create value we only create value by two things. We produce clinical data and we protect that with our patents. We have among the best patent estate among the endocannabinoid endocannabinoid system targeting companies, and we're embarking on a rich data set. Partnering is one way that money can come into Artelo, non-dilutive financing, so to speak. I know that the assets sometimes are diluted on that by revenue sharing, but sometimes when global pharmaceutical companies partner up with a company like ours, the sum of the parts is greater than the portion that we give up. And so one can think about partnering as a way to think about how revenue or money can come into Artelo. Again, we're focused on creating value through the clinical trial development process, and the inflection points as we create that on the way to FDA approval are ways that a company like ours increases in value in the minds of investors, especially as we near the later stages and the potential for partnering becomes much more palpable. I might also offer that drugs eventually do get onto the marketplace and companies are then rewarded, but there's a lot of value that's created on that pathway.
Got it. Well, Greg, thank you for coming back on the Power Hour today. It's always a pleasure to have you. Anything else you want to, leave our investors with? Maybe something else they can look forward to for the rest of 2021 or maybe even into 2022?
Well, we do have differentiating data on our preclinical programs. I know those programs are early, but it's going to get the attention of not only investors, it's going to get the attention of pharmaceutical companies that are looking for rich estates that potentially are best in class and first in class. And I would have to say that our portfolio stacks up against that very, very, very nicely. The other thing that I would mention is that because of that spike earlier in the year that you mentioned, a lot of the warrants were exchanged, and that brought a significant amount of cash into the company. And at the time, that was more than 2 years of cash for us, because we've never spent more than $5 million in any given 12 months. And so a $10 million bank account for us is a significant runway. And I think for investors, that's important because they know we're not necessarily running right out to do a financing, that we can really focus in on milestones and let that drive the value of the company.
Yeah, I mean, that is very interesting and certainly enticing as an investor. So, Zinger Nation out there, I got the stock pulled up right here. Again, that ticker is ARTL, traded on the NASDAQ, currently trading at about 92 cents. But as Greg mentioned, definitely some short interest there and has a history of some crazy runs. So I think a lot of people viewing this, Greg, will be able to kind of add this to their watch list, see what goes on. But yeah, very exciting stuff. Thank you again for taking time out of your busy Tuesday and joining us on the Benzinga Power Hour.
Yeah, and I might mention that, I made some forward-looking statements. We would ask all investors to come to artelobio.com, look at our website, look at all of our public filings, consider the risks and the opportunities for a value story like Artelo Biosciences. Thank you.
Beautiful. All right, Greg, enjoy the rest of your day. I'll go ahead and throw this email address in for the IR in case anyone has any questions. You can just shoot an email straight to the IR. Sorry if your IR team gets annoyed or overwhelmed, but that's their job after all, isn't it?
We welcome the opportunity to have that dialogue with our investors. Thank you.
Beautiful. All right, Greg, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Looking forward to the next time we get you on the show.